Welcome back, DNA Strand crew, to the newest episode of the Culture Shock here on the Dynasty DNA Podcasting Network. I'm your host, TJ Blake. You can follow me over on Twitter at FFTJBlakeDNA. And as always, for the Culture Shock, we're joined by the cultured one, the Christmas cultured one, I should say, getting a little post-festive here, heading into the new year. It's the one and only Big Culture Bob Helfert. You can follow him over on Twitter at Biggie Fat Bob. Bob, almost a crying shame. Week 17, the regular season's almost in the rearview mirror for 2025 as we head into the 2026 offseason. Are you ready to talk some culture shock post week 17 here today?
Yeah, I've got a little bit of different scheme or whatever today that I want to talk about. But it's going to kind of come with the culture emphasis. So I think you'll get the gist once I start yakking.
Okay, so we'll just go right into it here. We're going to turn the keys over to you, Bob. Let's get right into topic number one here today at the Culture Shock. What do you have for us?
Well, being Christmas and the givings mood and all that stuff like that, I got 5 topics, but I'm going to give like multiple pieces to 5 topics. So 5 QBs I want to buy. I want to buy Drake May. I want to buy Justin Herbert, CJ Stroud, Baker Mayfield, and believe it or not, Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young and Baker Mayfield, both of the cultures are like in a little bit of flux, but I think Mayfield or whatever is a good player. I don't think that what we're seeing from him is who he is. I think he needs to get healthy in the offseason. I think that they'll either bring back Evans or Ibuka becomes the next Evans or trade, McMillan or whatever. Like we like Jalen McMillan. I'll talk more about that later. I think that Bryce Young is effectively running this offense the way Canales wants it to be run. The culture seems to be going up. They're more than likely a playoff team this year. Honestly, I didn't even see how they did today. Doesn't matter to me. I think that it's kind of how they're going or whatever. I think that's the trajectory. Herbert, the same thing. I think if that offensive line gets healthy, they're already a playoff team. They're already a double-digit win team. More than likely going to get better. I don't think that they're just going to abandon the pass and start running the ball consistently. Drake May more than likely won the MVP today. TJ and I were talking about that before we started recording. I don't see why he wouldn't win the MVP, and he's doing it with, Stephon Diggs and a bunch of crumb bums and shoe clerks. We've seen that before. And Stroud, I don't know, man. It's like when the guy is on, he's on. I don't want him to be like my QB1, but I think that the price has fallen enough where I'm not like, what's the word I'm looking for? Straining the pocketbooks to buy, if that's the point. Like he's going to be outside a top 10, I think, cost. And I think that the sky's the limit. I think Higgins comes into his own. I think Collins still does well. I think that, Noel can end up being a decent wide receiver come, later on. And it's just, I think that the coaching staff's got it right. And again, another team that's made it into the playoffs. I think the culture's on the upswing.
Okay, so let me just say this, Bob. I like the list that you presented, right? I like a lot of the guys you're talking about. And we're going to be talking about a lot of these guys here heading into the offseason. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about across the board here as far as hypotheticals, our thoughts on improvement on teams and rosters. I mean, these players in general, so we can't wait to hop into that. So I like that you're getting ahead of this a little bit, just giving us your, postseason, diagnosis. The 2025 season's in the rearview mirror. Now we're going into this postseason as far as okay, how are we looking at this? You're giving us these guys. I like the guys you mentioned. One name I found kind of interesting, I thought maybe you were going to bring up, was Trevor Lawrence. I thought maybe, just maybe, I was just interested to see if he made the cut for you. But I will say, I do like the fact that you brought up CJ Stroud. I'm going to let you respond to the Trevor Lawrence thing in 1 second. But I do agree, low key, the guy has the arm talent, right? He has the accuracy ability. We talk about quarterback deficiency and some guys throwing the ball. That's not the problem with CJ Stroud. It's getting the time, having the healthy weapons around him. The kid don't even have a good running game, for God's sake. They don't even have a good running game right now. The offensive line, we know what that's all about. So, if they can develop these things this offseason, Houston is a team to watch. They're making it to the playoffs almost every year. DeMeco Ryans is that steady hand. I like him as a coach. I like what he's doing down there. And I'm with you on the CJ Stroud stuff. I just wanted to get that out there because I do think Houston's a team that we have to circle and say, okay, like what are they going to do this year? Like what are they doing to improve this roster? Because if they do improve it, I do think CJ Stroud could make a nice jump for sure. And I'm on the same page with you. But what about Trevor Lawrence, Bob? You just don't quite trust Jacksonville enough, I see.
Well, not exactly. Trevor Lawrence was, a curly hair between making this list, but I tried to think about it a little bit into tiers, right? Like I think Drake May is an elite tier. We talked about how I think he may be the number 2 quarterback for me in the league, maybe number 1 if Josh Allen keeps doing this stupid stuff. And then we got Herbert that I think is he's like a safer, more heavily constructed quarterback. Like we talked about, like an Iron Man type. Like he's kind of like my tier 2 guy. He can light the scoreboard up, but I really don't have to worry about him being out. I thought that Stroud and Lawrence might be in the same boat, just there in the 8 to 12 range or whatever, that I'm like, so Stroud just kind of beat out my Lawrence. And I thought Mayfield was probably just a little bit below that set because of age and like the preserve or the I know the word I'm looking for, perceived stink on him right now or whatever, because of, what's going on at the end of the season. And then Young's much lower down the list. But I still think he's probably ranked in the top 24. So that was Stroud just kind of beat him out a little bit because I thought, hey, it was just a more interesting topic to talk about since we talked about Lawrence last week. But Lawrence is in the mix for sure.
And it's buying price, right? Like, and I can kind of see where you're coming from. Like, I still think you can get CJ Stroud fairly cheaply, right? Like, I think Lawrence is kind of like got this aura going around him right now. I mean, I think that people were going to want more than maybe what you want to pay. So I kind of can agree with that too from that standpoint. And you look at Bryce Young, right? I mean, like, look, if 26 first, if it's like a mid to later, especially, no problem whatsoever. If I need a quarterback 2, 3 to add to my roster, I really think that's strong because I'm like you. Dave Canales' system, this team, I really like it. And I think that they're going to continue doing what they're doing going into next year. So going to be a lot of interesting teams to talk about there, Bob. I like the quarterback talk. What do you have for us on topic 2 here today?
Well, I'm glad you like it because I like bringing it up because that's the next topic I'm going to talk about too. But like one more thing to add on to that is once points stop being scored and picks start to become flavorful, I don't think you'll have to pay that much for Bryce Young. You'll probably be able to get him for an early second. You might be able to throw a third on top because I think people will still look at the stink. They'll think of a running team, blah, 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 blah. And if they get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, then you're even going to have it even more so, right? So my second topic, 5 QBs that I want to buy that are basically junk, that nobody really has much interest in outside of like handcuffing your team, right? I talk way too much about Mac Jones, but I like Mac Jones. Brock Purdy is not the beacon of health, but he's, when he's out, Mac Jones knows how to run that offense, and I hope he makes it to a team either this coming season or the season after that. And, a first-round pick, he was really good his first year. I don't have to keep talking about it. I've talked about Mac Jones all the time. Malik Willis, man, he looks like he's capable. The shoulder problem is a little bit of a deal. He got a complete raw deal in Tennessee. Tennessee's a dumpster fire anyway. We can't trust what we see going in and out of Tennessee. A couple years or whatever behind Matt LaFleur, and it looks like he's capable of playing quarterback. Now, is it going to be elite levels? No, but I'm not talking about playing elite prices either. You're not paying starter prices for these guys. Please don't. And if you do, I'm sorry, but don't do that. Pay attention. Read the room. Zach Wilson, one that just got thrown to the wayside. The kid had talent in college. He was playing behind a bunch of adults against a whole bunch of young kids because that's how BYU runs their show. That you got to go on a mission trip. Everybody's a year older. Zach Wilson needed to do more than just cougar hunt or whatever in the Jets. And he didn't learn his lesson there, but I'm hoping that, and again, don't overpay. And then the last one, which is really going to blow everybody's mind, but I think that it's entirely possible. Trey Lance, the kid, had an entire season where he didn't throw an interception. Now, Did he throw more than 500 passes his entire college career and high school career? No. So he needed time to grow, and he may still need time to grow. But Harbaugh has got him, he's got him right now. If he's with any kind of a QB coach at all, like maybe he's grown up a little bit. And again, don't pay. This is like the click of a waiver wire. Like just get him on your roster. And we talk about this ad nauseum, and we will continue to talk about this ad nauseum. If not, I will for sure, because I believe the QB situation is one of the bigger problems in the NFL. Collect as many backups as you feel comfortable with. And I mean, those are just 5 guys that I've got this sneaking suspicion that they're going to get an opportunity one way or the other. And it may just be gut, and it may be the waste of a mouse click, but like that, if it's a mouse click, like you ain't wasting nothing. You're only thing you're wasting is a little bit of time.
It ain't a waste. It ain't a waste, Bob. And I'm glad that you bring it up because it is very true. Like we've seen it. I mean, these guys are getting hurt. Starters are getting seriously hurt. I mean, we talk about Patrick Mahomes recently, and then you have Gardner Minshew, a guy that's a backup, tears his ACL. So, like as you said, there's not going to be a ton of great quarterback play out there. There's going to be teams that are going to be looking for some of these veteran guys to come in, maybe fill a bridge, anything, but they hold value this year. And like my biggest thing is, you know it, Bob. I know it. A lot of people here in the DNA network know it, and the listeners as well, especially if they're big-time Dynasty players or just big-time fantasy football players overall. Like, when you're sitting there in, like, the 20-something round, why would you not pick some of these guys, right? Like, I mean, like, they're always wasted picks. No one wants them, but, like, it just seems like you could scoop up guys. Like, I think in that inner circle league that we play in, I got Joe Flacco, like, in almost, I don't know, the 20th round or something like that. I mean, like, it's way down there, and look, he held a little bit of value this year. And you talk about Malik Willis. That's one that I do find very interesting, right? Like, I mean, I think that he is someone that's shown, like, yes, maybe you give me an opportunity. Number one, he's got the age on his side. He's got the mobility. In a dynamic offense, he could give a team a viable option. And I mean, look, he has had Green Bay looking okay at times. And the fact that they couldn't stop the runs, what really killed them there against the Ravens this week. It wasn't just as much as Malik Willis's play, but look, I really like the ones that you threw out there. And Trey Lance is another one, low key. Like, someone's going to get an opportunity somewhere. I mean, none of these guys are just going to get thrown right to the heap. I mean, they're going to at least be a backup. We'll see what happens. And hey, if you get lucky, you get one of these guys and they play well. Just for an example, I'm in a redraft league. I picked up Malik Willis. I had Jordan Love. He went out. I picked up Malik Willis, and he won me my championship in my redraft league, right? So there's always value there. I like what you're saying, Bob, and to stress it, do not overpay. If this is a trade scenario, if you want to get him as a throw-in piece, that's great. Maybe if you want to, look, if you're a rebuilder, right, and say you really like Malik Willis, like just for example, right, like Aaron Rodgers this year, that would have been a great guy to trade 1-for-1 for Malik Willis or whatever, right? If you want to get younger at the position, I have no problems with that if you're a really bad team doing like that as well. Like Geno Smith, right? I mean, you want to re-roll on Malik Willis for Geno Smith? I mean, I wouldn't hate that in some kind of trade scenario or something like that. So glad you bring it up. Anything else you want to add to the quarterbacks before we move on here, Bob?
You know, what's funny is as soon as you said Geno Smith, I thought, man, Malik Willis would look awesome in Raider black and gold and silver. Like that would actually be a decent fit because he's going to have to scramble, right? And he doesn't have to do a whole lot to just get it to Brock Bowers when he's healthy and Ashton Genty when he's that would be legitimately a good idea, which means it won't happen because it's Vegas and they'll screw it up.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, it really depends on the. Go ahead.
It breaks Slim's heart when you say that Vegas will screw it up. But no, I mean, look, I do think you're right. If I'm the Raiders, I'm going to want a mobile quarterback.
Super mobile. But like what I was thinking too is like depending on the depth of your league, man, like I legitimately and I'm going to change my philosophy a little bit because I used to prefer to go slim on wide receivers because I didn't want to have to think about the question marks of who I'm going to start. But at this point, players are just getting hurt all the time. It doesn't hurt to just have depth. But the deeper your league, the more stashes you can make, right? It seems obvious. I mean, the people are not stupid to not know that. But like, obviously, I'm going to hoard as many RBs because it's one of the more volatile positions. And right now, QB's become really volatile. We just don't have the offensive line play that we need in this league. So I I'll just jump on since you didn't introduce it and you just kind of gave me that's cool. I understand you let me ramble. I appreciate it. Topic 3. Clear my throat. Wide receivers I want to buy at value. 5 of them. I think Garrett Wilson's value is going to drop enough that I'm going to be interested in buying again. They have to get a QB one way or the other. And I don't even care if it ends up being Justin Fields for one more season, because as ridiculous as that sounds, the fact that I think he did get benched, but I think he got hurt too. So I think that they might have just been like, there's a ridiculous salary cap number that is attached to Justin Fields that they're going to be beholden to. So one way or the other, let's not talk about Justin Fields anymore. But like Garrett Wilson, I think he's target hog for whoever's on that team. And he signed a long-term deal. He's kind of going to be stuck there, whatever. As long as he can stay healthy, I think he's a really good football player. Tedero McMillan. This goes with my Bryce Young take, but he looks really good. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Is the NFC South the place where we want to go buy as many wide receivers as possible? Tet looks like he's, doing a good job. And it's like there's going to be a little bit of growing pain still, but it's a team that I think's on the upswing. More from this team, honestly, here in a little bit. But JSN, if you can get JSN, that's the elite right now, right? I just think that Darnold's got to get a little bit more settled. I don't know if he's the end all be all, because like sometimes I'm like looking at it, I'm like, man, that was a bad pass. But JSN is an elite player, and he's just one. I actually had Amon-Ra St. Brown on this list, but I'm like, I didn't want to put 2 elite guys on there, so I went to a sub-elite guy in Justin Jefferson. I think one way or the other, either McCarthy grows and they get better, or they get another QB. One way or the other, I trust Kevin O'Connell, and JJ McCarthy would actually be somebody I would be willing to buy for a very cheap price. It's not going to be expensive, but again, quarterbacks. And last but not least, Michael Wilson. Dude, this guy is like, I don't know how Arizona could, it's like, let's just put him in a whole bunch of wrapping paper to go along with Christmas and put him on a shelf. And like, let's just forget about him till next year. We already gave the kids too many presents this year. We're going to put this one on the shelf for next year. I don't understand. Kyler Murray is a cancer, but that's another quarterback I think that's going to end up having a job somewhere. I'm predicting Pittsburgh. So I don't know. Like, it's crazy. Michael Wilson to me is a good player that needs to be, on rosters. Now he should be a much cheaper than everybody else, but a lot of people see what's going on and think the same thing I'm thinking. So it might cost you a little bit more than you'd expect, but that's 5 that I got.
Okay. So let me just say this. I love the Garrett Wilson call out as far as like being devalued, right? We'll just start with Garrett Wilson, in my opinion, because you're right, Bob. The quarterback situation is going to change. All it is you got to keep the kid healthy. If he's healthy, it'll be just fine. I mean, I will believe in anyone to get him the ball, as far as like maybe he won't be wide receiver 7 or wide receiver 8. But I mean, even with horrendous quarterback play in the past, healthy for all 18, 17, he is a guy that's going to probably get you right up around wide receiver 12 to wide receiver 15 numbers, even with the horrendous quarterback play he's had. So, yes, I agree with you. I think it could only get better for Garrett Wilson and Justin Jefferson, right? I love that one. And I've been saying it too. Very rarely can you walk through a door to get to one of them type of guys, right? Like it don't happen very often. And when there's a chance you can walk through that door, you walk through it and you take advantage of it. And I'm like you, I'm not paying Justin Jefferson prices pre-2025 season. I'm not doing it. But if there is someone out there that's like, okay, I'm done with this Minnesota stuff, I don't want to be involved with it anymore, I'm going to give them a little bit cheaper, I'm going to take advantage of that, like, right? I mean, if they're going to be putting them on the block and being willing to accept a reasonable price or something that makes sense, I'm going to make the move. So I'm in agreement there with you. Tet McMillan, I love it too, because I like Tet, but you're going to have to really pay up to get him, right? That's the only thing. Yeah. But I do see him being more of that cornerstone-y type piece, like Drake London. I mean, he's proven to us he can do it with horrible quarterback play in Atlanta. We like Bryce Young. We like Dave Canales. This could be really good for Tet McMillan. He's that big X guy that commands targets. We see it in the NFC South. You said it. Mike Evans, Drake London, now Tet McMillan. That kind of all fits right there. And the last thing I want to say is Michael Wilson. That one there, No doubt about it. Like I was laughing because we were talking to Wiz, and I think I did a Michael Wilson buy video, not before this season, but before last season. So he was someone that I liked for a long little while. And man, oh man, if you got him late in the draft or if you were able to trade for him for a reasonable price, I think you did well. But last question I want to ask you regarding Michael Wilson. You said Kyler Murray, and I hope to God he don't come to Pittsburgh. I mean, that would be just terrible for me. It would go from bad to worse for me. But let me just say right now, if Michael Wilson does, continue to do this, maybe, down the stretch here, this last game, whatever, do you find it any way in your mind as a possibility that the Cardinals would trade Marvin Harrison as well? I mean, I'm just saying, right? I mean, this is a third-year guy. We wait for the third-year breakout, but maybe they feel like we could get our best value for him now. He don't fit here. I mean, do you think that's a possibility, Bob?
I mean, it's possible, but not probable in any way, shape, or form. I don't think that, I think that these teams all believe that they need to have, two or three guys. And like, if you just traded away your fourth overall pick or whatever, and what are they going to get for him? Right. Like that nets even remotely that kind of value. If they can swindle somebody out of a top, I don't know, 20 pick, you know what I mean? Like if Pittsburgh comes at them with, hey, we'll give you our first this year. I mean, sure, but like, what are the odds, right? I just
Right.
don't see it happening. And it's like, I mean, it's a sunk cost fallacy, right? But like they got to see what they got in the guy. You know what I mean? And I know that we're at a certain point, but he's just like, we got to see what we got with him without Kyler there. Because if we think Kyler was part of the problem, then he was there the whole time Kyler was there. Now, if they either they bolster the offensive line a little bit more, they got Jacoby Brissett, they improved the running game by hook or by crook, whatever they do, sign somebody, whatever, and then turn around and they got Marvin Harrison sucks after that, and Michael Wilson's the star of the team. Then at that point, you just don't give him the fifth-year option. You let him walk, and you get a comp pick that was probably all you were going to get anyway for him. If he becomes a star someplace else, you just had to ride out his 4 years. You know what I mean? But like, what would be dumb is if he doesn't look very good the first half of the year, and then it's like, well, let's go ahead and give him the fifth-year option, and then they're stuck with him for another year, and he sucks both years then. And even though they get the comp pick or whatever by letting him walk, it's a year too late. You know what I mean? They should do something to make the team better besides, but them drafting Harrison was a dumb idea anyway. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they weren't ready for that. Even if you thought
It's like,
Kyler was the guy, the offensive line was still trash. The defense was not any good. Like, what did you hope to do?
right. It was just like trying to get in your car and go when there's no gas in it, right? Same type of deal for the Cardinals. I mean, no doubt about it. You got a car, but there's no gas, so you ain't going to get very far. So let me just say this, Bob. I mean, last thing I want to say about Michael Wilson, just to get where you're at on this so the listeners know, like, and I'm going to ask a lot of people about Michael Wilson this offseason. This guy's very intriguing. You're in the buy camp. We just talked about it. What would you be willing to pay? Would you pay just a first? Would you pay a first and a second? I mean, what would you be willing to give up to get him at this point?
I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but it all depends on A, my roster, and B, like what point we are in the offseason, right? If it legitimately is, we're closing up camp and it looks like he's going to be the one, or it's him and Marvin Harrison, I'd probably pay a 1 and a 2. Not going to be not 27. So like, that's really where it's fringy, right? Like, I love my first, I'm going to try and do something else. I'm going to try and send, a running back with a lot of hype, something like that. And I'm going to snake oil salesman the crap out of it. Like, yeah, Marvin Harrison's still there, blah, blah, blah. You can't trust Jacoby Brissett. You've seen what happened at the end of the year, so on and so forth. Yeah, he was a monster those 3 games. Or is it going to happen again? You don't know. I don't know. I'm taking all the risk. Here's this shiny running back that we know is going to be, he's going to be a star this year, so on and so forth, whatever the case may be. Yeah. And he's on the Steelers. He's got to be the starter, so on and so forth, because they ain't got nobody else. It's like, whatever. He's back in our, of course, J.K. Dobbins got hurt, so of course this guy's going to be the new guy. I don't know if that R.J. Harvey clown's going to keep the job, whatever. Something along. That's just how you do deals anyway. So, yeah, but if I'm more desperate for a wide receiver, I'd be willing to, if I've got multiple 27 first and I can get a set 27 second kickback or something, or some juice along the lines. Yeah, but that 27 class is loaded for bear with wide receivers. And I'd almost just assume wait if I'm getting them that late. Early, I don't mind parting with the 26 first and a 26 second if I can get some little piece back or whatever, some dice roll. Like if I could work out a first and a second for Wilson and Algier, if that was the situation,
Right.
any running back, yeah, something along the lines. Any running back I think might have a chance to have a job. Any one of these quarterbacks or two of the bargain basement quarterbacks I talked about, or just a package or whatever that makes me feel comfortable about giving up a first and a second, which we've talked about 26 picks. I really don't care that much, but I don't want them to believe I don't believe they have value.
Right. And two, you want to try to get the most of what you're selling, right? No doubt about that. So, just to put it on record, and I know that you're all good with it. So you're saying right now, like if there was a deal on the table, let's say in January or February right now, and you needed a wide receiver, you're picking 108 to 1012 in the 2026 draft. You're willing to trade like the 2026 first, the 2026 second to get Michael Wilson and then maybe like a Tyler Algier, right? That's something you would do?
Sold American.
Okay, so there we have it. Big Culture laying down the law on that one. I like that. He's just going to tell us what he's all about. He's in court dismissed. On to the next topic. Bob, here we go. Topic number 4. Let's throw it at us. What do you have?
So my run of 5s is going to stop here, but 5 wide receivers at basement value, guys you should be able to get for really cheap that people are probably not looking at with the most wonderful regard or whatever. And I'm going to start with one guy we talk about all the time, Jalen McMillan. I don't care. I think the guy's talented. Get him as a throw thirds. 26 second and third, try and get a 27 third back or something like that, whatever, work him into a package, get that guy on your team. I think he's going to be a very good player in the league. Now, whether or not he's a wide receiver 1 or not, don't hear what I'm not saying, but again, don't overpay, but I really like the guy. Get him in a package. Kayshon Boutte, we've talked about quite a bit. I don't want to pay for Boutte very much because they could easily draft a guy and then his whole role is just ripped out from underneath him. But if Diggs moves on, which I don't remember if he signed I think he did sign a multi-year deal. But if he were to move out, then
3-year deal, Bob, for Diggs.
Yeah. So if they bring in some rookie that's a first round pick, then Boutte is going to easily be just like the deep threat bomb guy. But that could be worth its weight in gold. So cheap. Don't go overspending for it. And I don't know if he's on the end of his rope, but he might end up going to another team that has seen, imagine if Mahomes comes back and Boutte goes there. No idea. He's better than MVS. He's better than Mecole Hardman. He's probably better than Xavier Worthy. You didn't hear that here, but yeah, you did hear it here. So legitimately, I like Boutte. Jalen Noel. I think that there's room for a third wide receiver on this team. I think that with my Stroud purchase, you want to get into the wide receiver core cheap. Noel shouldn't cost you very much. That's the guy. I don't know if it's going to stick. I don't know if it's going to go up, but I don't want to think about paying a whole lot for him. And if I can get him super cheap, that's a guy I would go for. Coker, we talked about Young. I like Coker on this team. I think that he's just a small school guy that needed a little bit of time, needed to get healthy this year, but it seemed like he's got a role in this offense. And I think if Bryce Young keeps growing, Coker and Tet keep growing together, I think it could be a nice little, and it's like, there's some teams that are going to do the finances better. And I think that Carolina, if they can keep this nucleus together, I think they are. I don't know that they'll overpay to keep Rico Dowdle, but they might. But if they do, then they got a little two-headed running back, and that's the cheap. There's there's positions that are really cheap to sign, right? Running backs are cheaper to sign than wide receivers. So if you go out and overpay for your wide receiver core, then generally your crumb bums and shoe clerk cost at running back. I've already used that line too much tonight, but you get my point. We talked about selling Parker Washington. This dude's got a role for Trevor Lawrence. I don't know that it's anything I want to again, this is the bargain basement, guys. Don't overpay for it. If you can squeeze him into a lineup, people may get hot for him. If they're hot for him, then you just be like, okay, I'll back away. You keep your Parker Washington and I'll keep my, whatever I was offering you. But I think if you can get him cheap, go for it. I think that is 5. So, yeah.
Well, let me say this, Bob. You started out where you hit me right in the heartstrings when you said Jalen McMillan, right? We've been preaching that over the past, I don't know, several weeks, saying, look, he's getting close to being back. We want to try to take advantage, get a hold of him, get him while you can, pay 2/3, pay a third in a player or whatever. Today against Miami, wide receiver 9 on the week, right? Like it's starting again. We've seen this at the end of last season. Baker really likes to throw to Jalen McMillan, and we're starting to see it again. And it's just like logistics and timing, right? Like, I mean, I love Mike Evans. Chris Godwin's always been a solid player. I know Ibuka's there, but like, how much longer are them 2 veteran guys going to be around? How much longer is Tampa Bay going to be maybe willing to pay both of them type of guys, right? So, I mean, it's just something that it's going to come down to. It's just going to be elimination by process. And Jalen McMillan is a guy that will be a benefactor of that. And we've seen him today absolutely tear things up. I mean, he's a guy I'm going to be targeting a lot later in startup drafts this year. No doubt about it. In Coker, I agree with you, Bob, because here's the thing about Coker. Like, I mean, I know Carolina, as you said, could be more of a running team, could be a little bit more hit or miss, whatever. But the thing is, they're not going to go probably back to the wide receiver pool again. They can't afford to, right? They took Leggett. They took Tet McMillan. Like, they cannot keep drafting these guys. So that's going to give Coker at least another opportunity to have a look. His biggest thing is he's just got to stay healthy. I mean, Parker Washington, like you said, okay, maybe there's worse players out there, but I mean, I guess too is how much do you believe in Travis Hunter being on both sides of the ball? I think that's going to probably come to an end, like we talked about. I think he's going to be more on the defensive side. And look, I mean, being the third guy behind a Jacoby Myers and a Brian Thomas ain't a bad thing, right? You're probably going to get open a lot because you got guys that are worried about covering them. So, look, man, a lot of them guys on the list, Bob, I can agree with. And Jalen McMillan's the biggest one to me. I just think, like, as far as value goes, what you can get him for still, I have no problems paying a 26-second for Jalen McMillan. Put me on record for saying that, right? Like, if someone's still willing to give him up for that, I'm going to take advantage and buy him. So I really like that. We have Chris saying, what's up, guys? What's up, Chris? Happy to have you with us tonight. Sports Zone says, hi, everyone. We got some of our friends here with us tonight. We're happy about that. So, okay, Bob, you've really been shooting for the hip. I really like some of these dumpster diver basement type guys you're bringing up. And I also like, the better players you're talking about, maybe to try to take advantage and buy a little bit lower than usual, or just maybe, hey, I'm willing to overpay for this guy. What do you have for us for the next topic?
All right. Last but not least, 3 and 3. We got to do 6, So we're 3 running backs, since I don't like buying running backs, but 3 tight ends. We got to give the position some love, whether we like it or not. So these are guys that I'm going to be interested in buying in the offseason. And everybody knows I like to dumpster dive for running backs. So these are guys that are not so much in the dumpster, except for the one that I took him off the list. So we don't have to talk about Tyler Algier again, but just remind you that I like me some Tyler Algier. So number 1, and we talked about this last week and we talked about it on the deep dive, but TreVeyon Henderson. I want all the TreVeyon Henderson. I'm pissed now that I traded TreVeyon Henderson in a second to get Jonathan Taylor, even though Jonathan Taylor was at the peak of his powers and he kind of fell, but I can't predict that. And Jonathan Taylor had a really good year, which leads me to my RB2 is Jonathan Taylor. I think this team is doing a great job. For what they had to deal with this year, they got to figure quarterback out. The thing is they went and cherry picked a guy that worked out perfect for him. If they could just cherry pick that guy again, like, can they trade for Mac Jones? Can they go get I don't want to say Malik Willis because I really don't think it fits that offense, but I don't think it would be terrible. But like, anybody. Like, I think that anybody that can just Sirianni can get them move the offense. I think it's going to be fine. And I really do. Jonathan Taylor is a very good football player, and he's got plenty of time left. And my last running back, and shout out to the old TJ, but Chase Brown. Like, Burrow and Teixeira talked about this, and like, I thought he was just being a little hyperbolic, but Burrow loves this dude. Like, it is like, I'm pretty sure Jamar Chase is pissed that the bromance between Burrow and Chase is so tight. Like maybe there's a Chase like three-way going on. There's a little Chase, like it's all CBs and stuff, right? It's like Chase, Burrow, Chase, Brown. I don't know. It's like maybe 1, 2, there's 2 C's and a B in the middle. I don't know what the deal is, but for sure they got a sick bromance going, and it looks great. Like, and I cannot see, although my boy Schmitty talked about it last week. Cincinnati does stupid stuff. So we cannot count out stupidity. But I think Chase Brown works for this team. I don't think that they'll have to overpay him. I think that they can keep him on this team, and I think that he'll be a very good football player for our fantasy teams next year, all things considered. As long as he doesn't, like, if they don't jettison him and him go to someplace stupid, if he goes to any team that's competitive and has a decent offensive line, it might be better, which is crazy to think because it's actually been really, really good. So those are my 3 RBs. Do you want to talk about those? Or you want me to just jump right in tight ends?
We'll just talk about him real quick because, look, I agree with everything you said. Travion Henderson, you know what I said a couple episodes back on one of the shows we did. Like, he's the guy I want most out of this past class. Like, I just think, like, this, everything considered, his big play explosive ability, the catching, the running, the fact that New England's on such a rise. Like, I trust that offense so much, right? Like, I mean, I just think that he's the guy that if I had to throw my hat in the ring and say, yes, that's the one I want the most from this past draft class at this point, right? So I'm on board with you there. Jonathan Taylor, always underrated, Bob. And I think you're right. I think a lot of people will write the demise story of the Indianapolis Colts. But, like, I think Shane Steichen's done enough to probably get his job back, which is good for this offense, good for this team. And we'll see. I think that they're going to have to add a quarterback of some kind. You're absolutely right. We'll see who it is, but I do think that Jonathan Taylor is always underappreciated. And that's kind of the word for a lot of Indianapolis Colts fantasy assets, right? Underappreciated, right? Like, you could buy them always a little bit lower value, and they always usually do a little bit more than you expect. So I like that. And then, of course, Chase Brown. You brought up Chase Brown, Bob, and you know how I feel. Like, so many people got on my case when Joe Burrow went down early in the season. And then, you know it, Bob. We talked about it a lot. I said, look, if something happens to Joe Burrow, it's not good. But if Joe Burrow's there, I said he's going to put up massive numbers. And in back-to-back weeks, I believe he's running back 1 and running back 2. He's been a league winner for a lot of people. So I hope you did take the advice and buy him this past offseason, because he single-handedly won me a couple leagues, right? I mean, he's that guy. And I'm like you, Bob. I think he's probably safe in Cincinnati. And I like what you said, too, about the contract. Like, I think he's someone that's not going to sign like a mega deal. Like, he's not one of them type players. I think Cincinnati knows it. He knows it. I think that there's a good chance, and this is something I'm going to be saying a lot. Watch this offseason. I think maybe he re-signs there this offseason, right? Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, he's not a free agent this year, but if he would sign, I would not be totally shocked. I do think that they could get him for a decent value. And I'm like you. I don't think the Bengals take one, but you can never rule out stupidity. I love that line, Bob. You can never rule it out. But like Chase Brown, and I'm like you, I'm going for him. I mean, he's a guy, look, if you pay a single first for him, you can't lose. I bought him so many times this past year for a single first. It was a later first. Like, you know, I'm a contender, right? I'm not buying a running back unless I'm a contender. But I paid single first for Chase Brown, pick 8 through 12. So many. And boy, it's just worked out so great for me in a lot of these championship settings. So like what you had to say, let's hop into the tight ends though, Bob, unless you want to add something.
No, I think that's good. I'm not, you know how I am about running backs. I get too polite on them. I feel dirty inside. So, tight ends. I have not gotten my drug test back from Trevor Lawrence. So as long as he's still doing these PEDs like he's doing, I want Brenton Strange. I can only assume that he's either angry or on some kind of juice. Um, yeah, I think Britton Strange is a fourth target in this offense. And I think he's going to be cheaper than the guys that we've already, Parker Washington, BTJ, and I think Jacoby Myers, because I don't think anybody looks at him that way. And I think that he's got room to grow. I don't know if it happens. I don't want to pay a whole lot for it, but he's a guy that I think has he's got a swagger to him when I've seen him on the field that looks like he belongs. The next guy, AJ Barner, goes 3 for 3 today. What just some, he just seems to be like a workman. I mean, they obviously tried to, solve their quote unquote tight end problem with Arroyo, and they had it on the roster already. They missed shot, and I think that either they'll figure that out or not. But I think Darnold needs a security blanket, and I think Barner could be that guy. Hopefully he starts realizing that, but it is a little sketchy. But I do like Barner. And I think he can move on and be a dual threat type tight end, depending on the system, obviously. And then lastly, not Kyle Pitts, Tucker Kraft. I legitimately thought about it. I really did, to try and give Slim some flowers. And I'm like, nah, I can't do Kyle Pitts. There's just, his situation's too ambiguous for me. I don't trust Atlanta to do the right thing. And yeah, Slim's like, oh, he's tied in too. I'm like, yeah, look how many guys had to go down for him to be tied in too. Tucker Kraft was well on his way to destroying I think he would have been behind McBride, because McBride has been otherworldly, which, by the way, still going to rub that in. I called that out at the beginning of the year that Trey McBride was going to be tight end one. Wasn't a hard call out because the dude's a stud, but he's had to deal with some serious crap situation too, going from Kyler Murray to Jacoby Brissett. Brissett's made him look a lot better. But I'm not talking about him. Tucker Kraft, I think that when he gets healthy and gets back into this offense, I think that's what's really been missing from Green Bay. Like, yes, they can still run the ball effectively, but man, they need a target that's reliable. And Tucker Kraft was that guy. They lose Tucker Kraft. They just kind of been circling the drain ever since. And it is what it is, man. So many of us are like, oh, when that team gets a true wide receiver one, well, maybe it's not the wide receiver you need to worry about. Maybe it's having the legit target guy that just absorbs the ball when it gets thrown to him. And Tucker Kraft is that guy. So that's my 3 tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I really like it, Bob. I like the shout out. And when you said about AJ Barner, he fits Seattle, right? I think that he fits what they want to do. I mean, so I can tend to agree with that. And the first couple guys we were talking about there, right? They are more on the cheaper, if you need a guy that you don't have to spend a ton on, them are good guys to get. I mean, especially, as these touchdown scoring type guys, and that's what you're looking for if you don't have one of the best guys. And I've said this all the time, Bob. If you don't have one of the best, you better get someone that scores touchdowns. It could be hit or miss, but man, when you're in a championship game, and I've had Hunter Henrys and I've had Jonnu Smiths and people like this do this for me, score a touchdown or two, you can keep pace or maybe even do better than what the guy has on his roster. So I like the shout out and Tucker Kraft, because I think a lot of people just, when you're dealing with players that are injured, they don't value them right. And I think too that, they kind of scratch them off their list. No, I'm with you, Bob. You look at his situation in Green Bay, he is that guy for Green Bay, and that's not going to change. And we talked about Carolina not dipping back into the wide receiver pool. I guarantee you Green Bay won't, because they're a team that don't draft wide receivers anyway. And, they already
definitely not well. Oh my God, not well.
Right. So, I mean, look, if they bring in a free agent, that's one thing, but they're kind of up against it, right? They have a lot of heftier type contracts there on the books, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So Tucker Kraft's a guy that, yes, I don't care about the injury, his situation, the style of player he is. He fits Green Bay. I think that would be really, really good as well. So I like the shout out. Bob Sports Zone says Mason Taylor with the right QB could be real good. Absolutely. I mean, look, what do the Jets do at the quarterback spot, right? They got to get that situated. And I think that he's got a point, Sports Zone does, because look at it like this. Who's the second target behind Garrett Wilson, right? It's got to be somebody in that offense. So I think
the thing with Taylor is he's got like 0 yards after contact. Like he does not take contact. He's catches the ball, falls down the ground. But if he falls down 10 yards away from the quarterback, that's a 10-yard play. That's a win. But yeah, I agree.
Still a rookie too, right? Like I think that, he can develop a little bit more strength training, a little bit more like getting used to the NFL game. And a lot of players talk about it too, right? Like the speed of the game is so much faster than what they're used to, and maybe a lot more physical. So we'll see. And the nice thing about a Mason Taylor, I will say in closing, he has his dad, Jason Taylor, could help him and tell him a lot about a lot of things at the NFL. So very interesting. And I agree. There's a lot of good lower end tight ends out there. And you know me, Bob, I am, like you said, like the dumpster diving, whatever, the money ball type of guy. I had a lot of guys this year that I think we could have helped people with. Rico Dwaddle comes to mind. That's my guy there in Carolina. And Theo Johnson did okay for the latter part of the year. So there's a lot of guys we brought up. So what a great episode, Bob. Appreciate you doing this as always. The Culture Shock, the last Culture Shock of 2025. We're going out with a bang. Look, guys, we appreciate all the support throughout the year. Let me just start there and say thank you so much. Whether it's on Spotify, Apple Pod, Stitcher, Amazon, any of the big podcasting platforms. If you haven't followed us over there, please, we would love to have you. If you are enjoying the content, please follow and 5-star the show. It really helps. We so appreciate it. If you want to check out the Culture Shock live on YouTube, hop over here on YouTube and you can see Bob do it live, and we can have you in the comments, have a little fun there as well. We'd love to have you. And also follow us on Twitter at DynastyDNA_. Check out the Facebook page, Dynasty DNA Fantasy Football Podcast Network. Listen, I know I speak for Big Culture, Bob. I speak for everyone here at the Dynasty DNA Network when I say we hope you guys enjoy what's left of your holiday break. Have a great, happy 2026. Happy New Year. And we will see you all on the next episode of The Culture Show.